From coast to coast, representing all of the Dog Pound Nation. This is the BrownsTown Podcast, powered by the 3-point conversion. I'm Eric, and over there is LA.
What's going on, beautiful people? And my man Eric, man, blessed to be able to bring you guys another great episode of BrownsTown. We are fresh off of Steelers week and not feeling any better about anything. But that is okay, guys, because we have a dynamic and exciting game coming up for you. On this week's show, we're going to go around the AFC North just to let you know what all those other teams are doing and how their matchups fared last week. Of course, we're going to review our last game. We will talk injuries. We will talk Drew Brees, talking about Baker can be better than him. What? Also, we're going to preview this week's game against the New Orleans Saints. And then we have a special treat for you guys this week. And it's going to be a segment called Dawgie Bag, made up by my man Eric, where he actually went out there and asked certain people to give your questions to us so that we could break that down and do the best we can. So we definitely appreciate all the participation and all the questions that are flying in, and hopefully we can make this a weekly segment for you guys. We will have that to wrap up the show. But, like Eric said, this is BrownsTown powered by the 3-point conversion. Make sure you hop over to the 3pointconversion.com. Check out all the great articles and content that we have over there, as well as making sure that you follow us on all social media outlets at the number 3 Point Conversion. And you can also catch BrownsTown. Of course, you're going to follow us on Twitter at BrownsTown USA because BrownsTown happened to be taken. Dang it. Anywho, Eric.
Yo!
You ready to hop into this, man?
I'm ready to jump in head first into this giant pool of pudding that we call the NFL.
Pudding, as Bill Cosby would say. Anywho, so around the AFC North, man, we've seen some great matchups last week. Well, actually, last week was a overall just kind of crazy NFL week. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this, Eric, and I said, this is why the NFL continues to captivate us, continues to surprise, continues to just sprinkle Tinkerbell magic dust on us, right? I mean, we pretty much could have guesstimated on some of these games, but every time you feel like you know the NFL, you really don't know the NFL. I mean, don't you kind of agree?
Absolutely. I mean, let me be honest with you. I look at last week, and there were teams that we knew were going to be bad. We were not expecting them to be as bad as they were. Probably the biggest one off the top of my head happens to be in our division, and that was when the Ravens took on the Bills. I mean, we knew that the Bills were going to be bad. Holy God, was that an awful game.
Yes, absolutely. And he's talking about the Ravens versus the Bills, where the Ravens came out and just upchucked. I mean, just devoured and then just spit them out. But they won their matchup against the Bills 47-3. Buffalo, I am sorry, but you have now become, well, I'm not going to do predictions. We'll just keep it flying.
Hashtag garbage watch.
You said what?
Hashtag garbage watch.
Yeah, as my man Mr. Controversy has said, no shade being thrown there. Anywho, in the other AFC North matchup, we had the Bengals going up against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sorry. The Bengals were able to be victorious, 34-23. Again, both of those matchups, I kind of feel like were kind of gimmies for those teams. The Colts, of course, showed that they still have some problems there on the line and everything. And the Bills just proved to be the Bills. So, great analysis, right? Yay.
I mean,
yay. But we don't want to focus on those other teams.
No, not at all.
At all. None. Not at all.
So, just because Josh Allen's taking over right now, but then again, we don't care because we didn't draft him.
So, real quick, Eric, let's do this review because I know that this show is recorded a little bit later on in the week, as we said. So I'm pretty sure you guys have heard all kinds of analysis and all of that, but we want to give you our 3 cents in this matter. We've seen the Steelers go up against the Browns at First Energy Stadium. Terrible weather. just raining all dang on game. And we came out with a tie. Now, Eric, I'm going to go first real quick and just let you know that I've never watched a game in recent memory that I felt like my heart was going to just stop. I mean, I really felt like I was getting, I was shaking. Like, there were so many emotions that went through my mind between, just happiness to extreme disappointment to, oh, here we go again, to, oh, my gosh, we might have this, and then we get let go with a tie. Eric, how did you feel about this game, man?
You know what? Let me give you some back story with this really quick. Saturday night, I was actually at the Red Sox game, so it probably was not my best idea to go to the bar the next night, because the next day I go to the bar to go watch the Browns game because I did not feel like logging onto my computer to watch it. So we watched the game, and of course, we're with about 3 Steelers fans, so the entire time, the Steelers and my buddy Chai, who's a huge Steelers fan, is just fist pumping. He's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." And with every James Conner run, then all of a sudden, Ben started to look bad. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this because one, the defense just looked crushing. It looked like someone compared it to the 2001 Ravens. I'm not going to judge on that just because it's way too soon, but I love this defense right now. I think it could be one of the best defenses that we've ever had. Forget about that time we almost made the playoffs. Forget about the time that we did make the playoffs. This is the year for our defense. That said, the offense kind of concerns me after this. So it's like, I'm excited on one hand. The other, it's like, oh, no. But, the tie, I don't want to say I'm pleased with it, but you know what? Considering what we've seen the last few years, I unfortunately will take it.
I hear that, and like you said, just kind of looking over it a little bit, it was a wet, messy game. 6 turnovers, from the Steelers. We had a turnover as well. But it was just nasty, and the offense, like you said, looked very pedestrian, but the defense looked absolutely phenomenal. So we have some hope going into next game, and like I said, we will preview the game a little bit later on in this show. But when we come back, we will talk about some injuries, Drew Brees, and so much more. This is BrownsTown, powered by the 3-point conversion. And we are back. I am LA, and my man sitting over to the side of me, kind of metaphorically, Eric. And this is BrownsTown, powered by the 3-point conversion. We just went over the review and around the AFC North. Now we're going to jump into some injuries. Eric, we actually came out of this game healthier than I thought we would. I really was cringing because of the conditions outside. That is a recipe for disaster when it comes to injury. But the real major injury that we came out with on this one was Emmanuel Agba. It's looking like, at first people were saying it was a high ankle sprain. Hugh debunked that rumor and said, no, it's not a high ankle sprain. He actually has not been ruled out for this week's game. I mean, what are you hearing out there?
I'm hearing basically the same thing. Like, for some reason, Hugh is keeping this under wraps completely. And you know what? This is something that we haven't seen from this team before. I mean, last year we knew Myles Garrett was missing significant time. But now all of a sudden it's like, wait, why is it that he's not being ruled out? I mean, we're seeing this dude, he did not practice, he did not participate. But at the same time, it's like, yet he's not ruled out for the game. What are you hiding from us? Is it really not that bad? Maybe there's something else going on. I mean, the rule is that we have to tell every injury, so we're not breaking any rules here, but it's weird because for people like us, we're trying to figure out what's going on, how to game plan. whether we should be yelling at Ogba because he missed a tackle, or if we should be screaming at Chris Smith because, well, he's Chris Smith. So,
well, what I heard also too is that Ogba was actually seen with a walking boot on. I think it's a little bit more serious than what he was letting on. But what we're starting to see with Hugh Jackson is that there is a trend going on right now. There's a trend as far as with the left tackle situation that we seen last week. It looks like Hugh is trying to wait until the very last possible moment, which would look like Friday, before he really just tells us what's really going on. It seems like he's trying to do some whole, deception, behind the cape, magician type thing. And I guess I'm okay with it when it comes to injuries. The left tackle situation was a little bit weirder, but, we already called that if he was going to wait that long, then it was definitely going to be Harrison. But, again, we will see. We also got some...
Could you repeat that? You cut out. Hello, can you...
Burgess was able to come back as well. So... We're getting people back, and we are, knock on wood, still relatively healthy. So, was there anybody else that I missed, or anything else that you heard or anything like that as far as injury-wise?
Injury-wise, no. I mean, we saw a couple people go down. Like, pretty much everybody that played and got hurt got back up, which was outstanding. I even think Ogba came back out, after a while. Came back out after a little while, but the thing is, this team seems to be mentally tougher than last year, so I give them credit.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. And the cool part about that position, too, is that we're actually deep at the defensive line after, signing some of these people from last week, bringing in some new faces. Like you said, Chris Smith. Jannar Avery is a hybrid, so I mean, when it comes to that line and stuff, you see a lot of moving pieces and a lot of people that can, play different ways in hybrid. That's that Greg Williams type defense. So, yes, it's a concern, and we don't want to see anybody go down, but at the same time, we're okay. We're not in panic mode or anything like that.
It's crazy when you brought up Jannar Avery because people don't realize, according to Pro Football Focus, he was actually the second highest and second most effective passer and edge defender. You could probably guess who beat him out for that one.
I don't like to guess.
Khalil Mack from Chicago.
No, I'm playing with you. Yeah, that was a crazy game too. Just watching what he was able to do in the first half. But
think about
that. No. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, he was the top 5. Khalil Mack was the top. Jannar Avery was second. So our rookie was second. Von Miller third. Trey Flowers fourth. Myles Garrett fifth. So now that even if Ogba isn't playing, I'm feeling confident with that.
Yeah, you have to feel confident, and you also have to feel confident about what Denzel Ward was able to do as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, it looks pretty good, but, and actually, too, that's a nice little segue, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about our matchup with the Saints and what Drew Brees said about our rookie quarterback, Baker Mayfield. This is BrownsTown, powered by the 3-point conversion. All right, and we are back. I am LA, and across from me is my man Eric. BrownsTown, powered by the 3-point conversion. Make sure you follow the show at BrownsTown USA on Twitter. Follow my man Eric at Stoshball on Twitter, and follow me at LA_Broadest. We pump out Browns news. We pump out sports news. We pump out opinions. We pump out what you need to hear. So make sure you tune in and follow us there. Eric, we just got done recapping the injuries. Not too bad, thank goodness. But there was a major statement that was said on a conference call when the Saints was talking about this week's matchup with the Browns, and there was actually a lot of good nuggets that came out from that. But the ones that I want to talk to you about and get your opinion on is that Drew Brees was quoted saying that he has been a big fan of Baker Mayfield, has followed him throughout his entire career, and thinks that he can be better than what Drew Brees is now, because Drew Brees said that that Baker moves around a little bit better than him. He's a little bit quicker. Mm-hmm. What do you, and I know that you've seen this because I know that every Browns fan's antennas went up and the exclamation points started flying around when Drew Brees said this, which actually gave more fire to the people that want Baker in now over Tyrod. What did you think about this statement from Drew Brees?
I mean, when you hear a quarterback say something like that, I mean, it's something that should be raising eyebrows. It's something that should be incredible. I mean, we all know, like, what happens during draft day when you have the experts come out. I believe it was Mel Kiper that said Jamarcus Russell was going to be the next elite quarterback, but you didn't hear any of his peers say the same thing. Not Mel Kiper's peers, because there's really not many peers amongst Mel Kiper. There's only Mel Kiper, and there's everybody else that is probably more right than he is most of the time. But that's beside the point. What I will say is when you hear an elite quarterback, which I'm going to say that right now, anyone that says that Drew Brees is not an elite quarterback, you're high. But the thing is, he's elite. If he's saying that Baker could be better, especially given the performance that we just saw from Sam Darnold, that's got to make you wonder how good this kid is. It makes you wonder, is Dorsey the one that is changing this whole program and taking the right guy? There's still people that are saying that Darnold is going to show why not drafting him was a mistake. There's a certain radio show host that I'm going to not bring up that has been saying that Baker is in a tougher situation and probably won't be able to handle it. He's just been talking smack about it, but, you know, this is where it can all change, and if what Drew Brees is saying is accurate, I'm taking it for all it's worth, and I'm going to the bank and cashing it as soon as I can, especially now that the season is progressing and now that the season is on its way.
I definitely agree with that, and for somebody like Drew Brees that we know is going to the Hall of Fame, the guy has the stats, man, and he does have a ring, so there's really nothing terrible that you can say about Drew Brees. He's defied the odds with his height. The guy can sling the ball. So if he says that he thinks Baker can be even better than that, you might as well just go ahead and cash in a check that Baker will have every single statue, every single poster in Cleveland, and go right up there to the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just already gone in a foregone conclusion.
Man, at this rate, we might as well just put him on the side of the building. Get the Nike,
right.
Get the Nike thing. Don't put the Colin Kaepernick thing up. Put Baker Mayfield with the front of the Cleveland jersey. You know what? While we're at it, also maybe black out his face, but keep the headband on.
We shall see. Also, a little quick tidbit before we get into this matchup with the Saints. I heard that Baker shaved his beard.
You know, it's funny. This guy can do a lot of things, and he makes the news. I mean, it's a lot better than the last time we had a quarterback that was in the news.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought the thing with the jeans and the tiger was stupid, but you know what? I would take that any day over Money Phone, the Swan, beating your girlfriend up.
Look, Eric.
Yo.
We have to focus on the future. We're not going to look at the past. We're not even going to bring up that stupid stuff. Look, it's funny. It's great. We're glad that Baker is making the news for shaving his beard other than other things. So I get it. Eric, you know, we're going to talk, man. We're going to get you past this. We're going to sit on the couch. We're going to get you some therapy about the Browns past. But
whatever you do, just don't put me on a couch next to Oprah talking about Kate Moss because I don't want to jump on that couch.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So, look, man, we have a big game this week against the New Orleans Saints. We will be playing in great conditions as the Saints have a beautiful stadium indoors.
Who that?
So, shout out to my man Damian Adams over at The Real Deal with Damian Adams. He has a show also under the three-point conversion, so make sure you check that out. Actually, I had an interview with him the other day. He had me on the show, just asking me about some of the things that I do for the three-point conversion. And also just, and our show got a shout-out on there, too, and we talked about what we cover here. So make sure you check that out as well. But the reason why I brought him up is because he is a big Saints fan.
Who that?
And so I'm just looking real quick, man, and we faced the Saints in our previous 3 matchups with them, Eric. We actually beat them all 3 times.
I'll be honest with you. That's a good sign, especially considering that back then we didn't have this defense. I mean, don't get me wrong. The defenses we had were okay, but this defense is better than all of them so far.
Let me read off the scores to you real fast. So last time we faced them was in 2017. We beat them 20-14. Then we faced them in 2014. We beat them 26-24. And then in 2010, we beat them 30-17. So that's crazy that we were able to. It wasn't like super high scoring except for the time that we blew them out. So with the personnel that we've had, that's pretty good. That's actually not bad. And it even gives me more reason to have optimism because at first I was, kind of doubting it. I'm not going to lie.
No, yeah.
But before we hop into more, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. And, Eric, I'm going to let you go as far as your takeaways and different things like that. But you are listening to BrownsTown, powered by the three-point conversion. And we are back. I'm LA, and across from me is Eric, and this is BrownsTown, powered by the three-point conversion. We were just talking a little bit about Drew Brees' comments on Baker Mayfield and have started to preview this week's game against the Saints. As I said before, we have beaten them the last 3 head-to-head matchups, and that's very intriguing. Now, Eric, you were talking a little bit about what as far as feeling more confident after seeing that. What are you seeing now this week? Like, what is your big takeaways from this week coming up?
Well, let's start with the offense. I mean, the one thing that you have to realize when you play the Saints is they are a very pass-heavy team. I mean, yeah, they have Kamara and they have the other running back who split time they do pretty well. The problem is Sean Payton is probably the one guy that passes more than Hugh Jackson has the past 2 seasons. So if that's the case, considering that we had Denzel Ward intercept 2, we had Demarius Randall accept 1, considering that we had Money Mitchell even deflecting Pat. The thing is, our secondary, for all the yards they did give up through the air, it was not terrible, and that was against someone that is a borderline Hall of Famer. They're going to have their work cut out for them, but you know what? On offense, if we can stop the pass and force runs, I think we could be in good shape.
Wait, time out. Did you say that Ben Roethlisberger was a borderline Hall of Famer?
I'll be honest with you. I think he's more than borderline, but for some reason, a lot of people still consider him borderline, even though the guy's won 2 Super Bowls, been to 3 Super Bowls, and honestly has led probably the teams of the 2000s.
Yeah, you should just go ahead and slap them when you see them. I mean, the guy's complete dominance over the AFC North since he's been in the league, plus the Super Bowls, the appearances, and the stats behind it. That's crazy. He's going to the fame. You know the fame loves QBs, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be there.
Hold on. Before you continue with that,
go ahead.
These same people also said that Phillip Rivers is not a Hall of Famer and that Eli Manning is a surefire Hall of Famer.
Okay, I'm not going to go on a wild goose chase with that. You hold on to that, man, because we might actually talk about that next week or something like that, because that could take us somewhere else, and I don't want to go there. I'm trying to focus on the Saints.
Right. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead.
You brought up some good points as far as the passing game and all of that, because last week Michael Thomas, 16 receptions for 180 yards. That was big. Okay. Now, the other thing, though, that I've been keeping watch over out of the Saints camp that came out is that I know Michael Thomas didn't practice this week one time for an undisclosed illness, so we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. Ted Ginn actually didn't practice either. I want to say I thought I saw it was ankle. We can do some more research on that for you guys, but they might be a little banged up, crazy enough, so this could be even more of an advantage for us and our secondary. Because if you look back at that Steelers game, Eric, there was times that Juju was wide open and Roethlisberger just missed him. So, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but they kind of switched BBC, Buddy Calhoun. They switched him with, I want to say it was Randall. I think they made an adjustment because, like I said, Juju was getting wide open, but they were just missing him. So we do have a little bit of vulnerability. I don't know if it was just an off game by BBC, but hopefully he improves. I know he will improve and get better. Absolutely. One of the takeaways that I have from this game is we have to get our playmakers the ball more. Duke Johnson didn't – I think he only had about, two or three touches. We only went to Josh Gordon like 3 times. We got to get our dynamic playmakers in the game.
You know, one of the biggest things that I remember hearing with this whole thing was the fact that Tyrod hasn't had ample amount of time to prepare with them. Did you notice who was the only player that had 100 yards as well as got a good bulk of the catches?
Right, Jarvis, yeah, because Jarvis has been with them through the entire process.
So I think that's the case. I would have liked to see there's something else that does irk me a bit, and that is we had so many opportunities to run play actions that we could take advantage of it. We ran one play action. Why? We ran the ball so many times that it was the perfect time to do it, but nope, we're just going to go ahead and just do regular passes or just hand it off again. Oh, look, a quick little slant that's only going to get us 3 yards.
And that's true, and I think that a lot of time that game was weird to me because I've seen Tyrod Taylor get hit. He says in a press conference that it didn't affect him or bother him, but I really think it did. And we saw him be timid when it came to throwing the ball. He more so relied on his legs to get out of there. And we have to make sure that – and remember, I said at our last show that, we both said it, that he has a tendency to hold on to the ball longer than you would like, and that's why we've seen him get sacked so much. So we knew that was a tendency of his. We need to make sure, and he needs to make sure, that he knows that, look, this isn't Buffalo, guy. You have weapons here. You have people that can go out there and take those lumps for you. I don't know if you know this, Eric, but Tyrod is not the prettiest runner of all time at all. He made me cringe a lot of times when he took off running that ball and the way he landed or tried to slide or dived or whatever.
Here's the thing.
Did you kind of see that?
What bothered me is when I was watching him do that, first off, I want to go back to one thing really quick, and that was you brought up about him, looking gun-shy. That came right after that first sack by, I believe it was T.J. Watt, and he did not get up if you watched carefully. He was down for a long time, and he got back up, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh, Baker's coming in. Here we go. But anyway, but that's the other thing. When we were watching him run, I was having PTSD moments of RG3 against Philadelphia. That game,
completely.
I mean, I remember watching, I'm like, slide, and he's diving? No, you don't do... Probably the worst one, and I remember cringing at this, was the touchdown run because he was too big. I mean, he had receivers open. He just decided, you know what? I'm just going to waltz right in. It's a good move. Yeah, sure. It got us a touchdown, but you got to realize that when you run the football, there's a good chance you're going to get hurt. And honestly, as much as I hate to say this could be his last opportunity to start, because when you get to that point in your career where you have somebody waiting in the wings like Baker is, you know the second that he goes down, Baker's going to come in, and if he makes the most of his opportunities, it doesn't matter. And if they start you the next week, you're pretty much done at that point.
Yeah, and a lot of people brought that up as far as saying that this is – I've actually seen a tweet before I hopped on here with you, and the guy said that this is probably one of Tyrod's biggest games ever. And I just started laughing because, one, the guy was in a playoff game, so week 2 against the Saints is not one of the biggest games ever.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
You know, 2, we got to remember, we play Thursday night next week. So I don't see – at all any way possible, unless Tyrod gets injured, knock on wood, that they would sit up there and do a QB switch after the Saints game and give Baker a short week. If they were going to do any kind of switch, it would either have to be after the matchup against the Jets or during the bye week to give Baker more preparation time. I can't see them going and making that switch that fast. So let's be real, people.
No, exactly.
So. But yeah, like, I mean, yeah, you said you brought up RG3, and that's exactly what I said. Is I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is about to get demolished. I mean, there's just no way he's going to survive this, because even the touchdown that he scored, it looked like, I was like, man, he dove like that. Why? Ouch. Why? You know, you just came off of, you know, dislocating your pinky. I mean, all this other stuff, like you said, when he got hit by TJ and was down there for a while and Baker was warming up, we was like, man, this is it. You know, I was about to tweet it out. I was like, oh, it's Baker time. And then we seen him get back up. So the guy is tough. I will definitely give him that. But, yeah, look, we'll dive some more into what we are going to see against the Browns and the Saints, but we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back. This is BrownsTown, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. All right, and we are back. I'm LA, and across from me is Eric, and this is BrownsTown, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. We have been previewing our big matchup, the Browns versus the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. We gave some of our takeaways. We are going to give some things that we also see. We talked a little bit. Actually, we bounced a little bit back and forth between the offense and the defense. But, Eric, I want to ask you this, man. Who is going to be your offensive player to watch in this game?
My offensive player, I mean, while I want to say Tyrod, I don't even think it's going to be him. I think, honestly, the player to watch will probably be Carlos Hyde, to be honest. I mean, the Saints could not stop the run last week. They let... How does this happen? How does Ryan Fitzpatrick, the tall, skinny white boy from Harvard, run it in for a touchdown and get 36 yards rushing? That's insane to me, because he's not a running quarterback. He's not athletic. He's stocky. He's got a decent arm, but you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. If you can't stop him, how are you going to stop Carlos Hyde, the guy that put up 77 yards against one of the top front sevens in the NFL?
I agree. That's a very good point. And like you said, if Fitzpatrick lit them up last week, I believe he had over 400 yards passing as well. If this is a huge game, like you said, to watch for with Tyrod, because we know he can run it. We know he's quick. But if he can go ahead and air it out and get it out to his playmakers, this will be a huge game, I think, to get the offense clicking and running on all cylinders, plus a tremendous morale boost just for the entire franchise. And while we're talking about that, my offensive player to watch, Eric, is going to be our tight end, David Njoku. Last week, he had 3 receptions for 13 yards. He could have had a lot more than that, but he had some big drops last game. David has started to become to have that tag where dropsies or brick cans. He has so much potential, and we know he does. But he has to shake this off, man. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. I mean, there were some just ugly drops. I mean, probably the one play that everyone talks about was the near circus catch, which I give him credit for. But some of the drops he had to have had. So those are unexcusable. That said, after a while, I remember when he got hurt, it was just like, no, that's the last thing we need.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel, real quickly, before we go to the defensive side, or defensive player that you're going to be watching for?
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about Fells coming in? Or not Fells, Seth DeValve.
DeValve, he looked okay. It's nice to see him back there because, really, the guy's a gamer. Let's be honest. I mean, put your political thing aside, put your politics aside that we had last preseason. Who gives a damn, really? The fact is, he's a fun guy to watch. It's just nice to see him back out there, though.
True. Now, moving over to the defensive side of the ball, who is your defensive player that you're going to be watching for?
The player I'm going to be watching for, and this is going to be a big one, I am watching for probably, I don't know. That's actually a hard one. I'd probably have to say if Agba's not playing, I'm going to say Jannard Avery. This is his opportunity to either cement himself. I mean, keep in mind the reason that we didn't take that we didn't take Bradley Chubb was because we were confident in the Agba-Garrett connection. Well, Agba might not be playing, so why not put the rookie in there, let him play with the first team, and if he does well, we could be saying that Agba's trade bait. I doubt it, but you never know in this league.
I'm not ready to trade anybody from our defense yet. Like, I just want everybody to stay together and be a happy family, kumbaya. So, no, I don't want to see that happen. But the guy that I'm going to be looking for, or maybe just so dare I say the group, is I'm going to be looking for our linebacker core. I want to see how well they do as far as in coverage. And then, because we know that we're going to get pressure on the quarterback, that's a foregone goal conclusion for the season. As long as everybody stays healthy, we got Garrett, we got Avery. We got people that can rush after them. But I'm going to be looking at the linebacker core to make sure that they can cover the middle of the field and make sure that, when those guys are rushing the quarterback, that they can either go in and bottle up the run as well, or, like I said, get those slants and stuff like that we know that Drew Brees can kill us on as well. So I'm going to be looking at that portion, that group, to make sure that they can step up and hold it down in the middle of the field for us.
Good call.
Now, real quickly, I wanted to bring up, I'm sorry, it was there and then it slipped my mind. But I wanted to bring up, okay, so you brought up our running backs.
Yeah.
Now, we are ranked second in the league, I believe, in rushing, and more so because of behind the legs of Tyrod Taylor. He rushed for 77 yards and a touchdown. But we seen that we opened up the first half against the Steelers, and we couldn't get anything going on the ground at all. Then the second half, they made it a statement that, look, we can rush on you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you take away? I mean, just kind of watching the run game between Hyde, Chubb, and Duke Johnson, what was your takeaways from that room? And do you feel like that room is a little bit too crowded now?
I wasn't thinking about that, but Honestly, no. I mean, the way I see it still is that we have Duke Johnson not necessarily as a guy to be running, but more so as a guy to be a screen type of player. I mean, screens, pitches. I like what we do have, but the thing is, I think one of the big problems that we did have last week was that we were sending players out to do the wrong things. For example, Carlos Hyde is usually better as a guy that can run through in between the tackles, yet he was going to the outside often. I mean, look, if you're going to the outside, I get that's what you're supposed to do as a running back, but if you're supposed to be going through and in between the tackles, don't go to the outside. They tried to send Chubb in between the tackles when he's better as a guy that does go to the outside of the line. Again, why are we using them in that way? Look, I understand that we're trying to get a gauge for what they can do, but at the same time, each running back does have a specific goal, a specific mission. Let them do them. Let them play their game. Don't tell them do this, even though we know that you're more effective if you do that.
Understand. And the reason why I brought it up is just because I was looking. Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb, to me, they seem like they can be the same kind of player. I like them both as well. The person that I'm questioning or that I'm wondering what's going on with is Duke Johnson and how we're just going to use him. I know that he's a screen guy. He's going to be that, what's the play? I'm sorry. It slipped my mind again. If you're in the shotgun, you're going to hand it off to him, for those long 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, and maybe try to see if he can make a play, get him out in space. We paid this guy some money, okay? Mm-hmm. We paid him, gave him a contract. And I want to see him more involved in this offense than just, passing it to him on a couple of screens here and there. I mean, this guy is one of our playmakers. We knew what he could do last season, but it's time to show what he can continue to do, especially on an offense that is so much more talented. So that's the thing that I'm kind of trying to figure out here is a lot of people are saying, look, Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb are essentially probably the same player. I know that there's some, differences, and of course Carlos has been in the league. He can block better, and that's another thing about Chubb that made me mad is, him missing that one key block where Tyrod got blitzed and got sacked. Mm-hmm. So Chubb has to do a better job there, but a lot of people were thinking like later on down the line when Nick Chubb gets better, then we're going to see, Hyde depart. But not a big deal for future-wise. More so this season, I just hope that they can that Haley has a tough job. Let's face it. There's a lot of playmakers on this team. And so that's why it didn't make any sense for people to say, yeah, add Des Bryant and, all these other people that's out there as free agents. Because there's a lot of people here already that need the ball. So we got to make sure we get them the ball and, and that will lead to success.
Absolutely.
So, Eric, before we move forward, was there anything else you wanted to add about this matchup? Anything else that you're seeing out there or, that's going to be interesting for you?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I think we hit on them all. I think Cleveland's got a good chance for this week, and you know what? I feel like as long as all the playmakers do their job and do their thing, strut their stuff, that they'll be effective.
All right. Well, that is that. Eric, real quick, put you on the hot seat. Score.
I'm going to say, let's see, we're coming off of week 21-21. I'm going to go ahead and say, 27-24.
27-24. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I will say 34-31.
All right.
And I don't want our defense to give up 31 points, but I mean, it is what it is. So, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a special treat for you. Special treat. This is BrownsTown, powered by the 3-point conversion. All right, and we are back. BrownsTown, powered by the 3-point conversion. I am LA, and across from me is my man, Eric. Eric came up with this great idea as he always does.
No, I don't.
And he wanted to get everybody involved as far as the fans view. Because one of the slogans of the three-point conversion is where fans' opinions matter. And, of course, Brownstown is powered by fans. Okay? That's what we do. We run off the gasoline of fans. Hopefully that doesn't sound too serial killerish. But
Gasoline!
We run off of it. We run off of the fans. So, Eric got a bright idea, and he went out there and did some investigative work and asked you guys some questions. So, we are going to get a couple questions in on this show, and then after that, we will wrap up. But we are going to call this our Dawgie Bag. So, everybody loves the Dawgie Bag. Eric, reach in that Dawgie Bag, man, and what do we have this week?
Let's see. That's a sandwich. That's a juice box. What's so squishy and wet that... Okay, I think I need a napkin. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. If Hugh Jackson does get fired, who's the intermediate I think he means immediate coach that would take over, and the best choice out there to take over?
If I had to go with that, of course the obvious choice is going to be Todd Haley.
Mm-hmm.
He's the offensive coordinator, closest to the quarterback's ear. You just go ahead and slide him back up. Everybody likes him already. He's a no BS type coach. I can't see them going outside of the franchise, especially if the firing happens mid-season. It would be dumb to bring somebody else from outside the franchise. So I see Todd Haley just sliding right up there and keeping the train and moving along.
I got to agree. I got to go with Todd Haley. The one name I would throw out there, I know this is going to sound weird. I always say this. Jim Bob Cooter is one guy I'd be watching this offseason. But you know what? If it's not Todd Haley at this point, I'm pretty sure it's a foregone conclusion that Todd Haley's taking over. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, and you know, to be honest with you, a lot of people they continue to obsess about this. Okay, Hugh does some stuff, and I'm just like, wow. Especially when it came to this whole Josh Gordon starting and not starting crap. And then for Josh Gordon to go out there and start anyway, and then Hugh to admit that it kind of surprised him, but it was based off of the personnel group that was chosen. Like, all that crap right there, man, that really just showed even more just irresponsibility of him. I don't get it. And as much as I'm trying to hang on for Hugh and really just like the guy, I'm starting to really get on that side where it's like, dude, just get this guy out of here. We've seen a lot of franchises, right, Eric, that have been that 8-8, 7-9, kind of with the situation with who was it? Detroit as well, right?
Detroit,
so there's
Cincinnati.
a lot of franchises that have been right there, and so they went in a different direction as far as head coach, even though their team wasn't just absolutely bad. I can definitely see this happening with the Cleveland Browns.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if it did happen. I mean, no offense, I get that. That Hugh does have the players' backs. That the players love to play for him. There's just no way that his clock management can be this bad, though. I mean, there were times I'm just screaming at the TV, "Call the timeout!" I'm just screaming, "What are you doing? No, don't do." I mean, look, the guy's a good offensive coordinator, but it's just getting to the point where it's the same story every day, and it's just like, enough. We thought that we saw a change in Hard Knocks. Not at all. It just looked more cosmetic than it did effectiveness.
Yeah, and you gotta like the guy. Again, they said he's a player's coach. Cool. We've seen him go through some just life-changing things with losing his mom and his brother. That's okay. But you got to realize that when it comes to a job is a job and a person is a person. You got to be able to separate the two. And as likable as somebody can be, if they cannot get that job done, I've worked for managers like this, that they're very likable, very fun to be around, very fun to hang around. The kind of guys that you would go and grab a beer with. But when it came to actually doing and performing and doing your job correctly, they were terrible at it. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. We're here to make money. It's a business. So miss me with all that likable stuff now. Like that has nothing to do anymore. Can the guy effectively do his job at this point in time? I'm going to say no right now. So I didn't mean to keep continuing to dig into that, but that was something I was going to bring up, especially with the Josh Gordon stuff, but we went a different direction earlier. But yeah, man, I'm kind of getting on that side where I'm like, dude, let's just get Hugh out of here and call it a day. But hey, yeah. So if Hugh gets the can, Ty Haley's the man.
All right.
Hey, all right.
Yeah. All right. Let me see what the other question we have. Let's see. Terrible towel. I got to take that out of there. Let's see. Eagles championship. I got to hawk that. Oh, here we go. Will Taylor play the whole season, or do you think Haslam will push the coaches to play Baker?
Ooh, that's a good one. I believe, I'll take the first part of this. Will Tyrod play the entire season? As of right now, I'm going to say no.
I mean,
and that is more so because I feel like he might get injured the way that he plays. So I don't think he'll play the entire season. I think we might see the same thing that we've seen with RG3 and with pretty much every other quarterback situation we've ever had. You know, especially that 1 year where everybody went down, and it was kind of like we didn't have any choice but to play the rookie. I believe that's the year that Cody Kessler came in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, so I don't think Tyrod will play the entire season, no. As far as Haslam coming in and pushing the coaches to put Baker in, I don't see that happening. I really believe that Haslam has learned his lesson as far as diddling, and yeah, I did say diddle. He's been diddling in people's affairs as far as when it comes to the football operations. That is why he brought in John Dorsey. John Dorsey isn't that guy that's going to let the owner push him. If Baker is going to start, it's because John Dorsey said Baker is going to start. It's not going to be because Haslam pushed him. John Dorsey just doesn't strike me as that kind of guy that can be pushed like that. So I believe Haslam is going to stay up in his suite and in his box and just have fun, eat popcorn, caviar, whatever they do up there in those expensive boxes for owners, and he's going to let the football people do football.
Way up in the sky, Jimmy H. Do you see what I see? What I see right now. What I see right now. Hey, Browns fan Christmas, never too early for that. Anyways, what I'm going to say is this. Haslam, I don't think is going to push. I think he learned his lesson from the Johnny Manziel stuff. Don't push for it. I don't know. I thought it was him. It may have been Ray Farmer, but that's water under a bridge that probably needs to be imploded by now. Anyways, what my biggest concern is exactly what you said. I do think that Tyrod won't play the whole season. The problem is, I don't think it's going to be because of injury. If last week was any kind of indication, that game was unacceptable from Tyrod, not Tyra. It's unacceptable. I mean, look, I get it that he probably felt a little gun-shy and he got blitzed often, but he had the 7th most amount of time in the pocket with 2.9 seconds. Every quarterback would kill for that amount of time. How do you need more time than that? Really, it's sad. I don't know if he's just looking too far down the field. I don't know if he's just not seeing the open guy at times. I don't know if he's looking run first, but if it's not injury, it's going to be because his performance. And you know what? I hate to say it. I think Baker could be starting probably by the game against the Buccaneers at this point. I believe week 7. It's scary, but Tyrod's going to need to step up. I think he realizes it, but it's just something that you have to put your foot on the gas and just not let up.
Yeah, very true. But I agree. Well, I don't agree necessarily with the fact that I just think that, like I said, he's going to be injured if he keeps playing like this. He seems like he's just going to be injury prone. Like I said, we've seen the scare in preseason. We've seen him get a big hit against the Steelers. Remember, we got to go up against those Bengals, and normally somebody always tries to injure our quarterback by kicking them or something.
Montez perfect.
You know, like something's going to happen, man, with the Bengals. The Bengals will be that game that I circle if it's going to happen. So I know that that's bad to say, but we keep it real. So
you know what? Let's start.
What it is.
I got an idea for that. Let's start Drew Stanton instead. Nobody will miss him.
Just throw him out there to the Wolves. I get it. Hey, there you got to have sacrifices, man. So yeah, I mean he's getting paid a nice, pretty penny for it. So yeah, go ahead.
Have fun out there, Drew. I mean, go ahead. Just go right ahead. We'll get Roback back over and have him back you up. Right.
All right, Eric. Well, do we got any more things in there rattling around the doggy bag?
Let me see. I think we got time for one more. What the? Wow. Speak of the devil, I just found McMahon's headband from back in the old days of the Bears.
Nice.
Okay. Here we go. Is there conflict between Todd and Hugh? And if so, can they work together?
Yes, I do believe there's conflict. And I will say this. I believe there's conflict for the analogy that I gave earlier, that a guy can be a nice guy, but you want to get the job done. And it kind of reminds me of my manager relationship that I had back when I used to work for a certain company. And I was the assistant manager, and the guy above me was the general manager. Now, he is a cool guy, very, very good guy. I mean, like I said, I would hang out with him. Crazy enough, he's a Steelers fan, too, on top of that. So besides that point, he's a very cool guy. But when it came to operating the store, getting the message out to our employees, just different day-to-day duties. Yeah, I said duty. It was always a problem, because he wasn't organized. He didn't have a plan. Whenever he heard something, he always either forgot about it or he didn't really effectively communicate that to us as assistant managers to be able to tell our employees. It was just a cluster mess. And then we finally got somebody in that was, very mission-oriented, and then the store turned around. So, again, you can be liked and all that other stuff, man, but if you are lacking just the fundamentals to do the job of the head coach position, then you're going to make people frustrated. And I think that you're seeing that with Ty Haley, because Ty Haley is mission-oriented, and you've seen that he can have a lighter side, but he's all about business. And so that doesn't normally mesh well too much when you have somebody that's the nice guy above you. It normally works a little bit better when it's the nice guy below you. And even so, in that point in time, if you're in management, that can also be a recipe for disaster. So you have to get the right kind of mesh. I think personally they're cool. They have no problems with each other. I think Ty Haley likes Hugh and vice versa, personally. But I think a lot of times when it comes to being out there on the field, at times, I'm pretty sure Ty Haley is probably like, what the F, man? This guy is really pissing me off.
I agree. I mean, honestly, they're two different conflicting personalities. I do think there is a conflict, but I think it's for something else. I'll be honest, I think the conflict might be maybe Haley realizes this is an opportunity to wipe away the years of Matt Castle and the Chiefs, which is not a bad thing. I mean, all things considered, I do think that Todd Haley is probably realizing this is my opportunity to jump the ship and right the ship. I mean, this is my opportunity for Mutiny to take over leadership, because let's be honest here, it seems like the offense might respect Todd Haley's might respect his personality more than Hugh, but they like playing for Hugh because Hugh will let him go ahead and do whatever. I mean, for lack of a better word, Hugh's a pushover. Look, I understand that you're a head coach. You need to have people on your side. You also need to have a set of cojones. He doesn't. He really doesn't. I mean, how many times did we see him on the sideline barking but not do anything about it? If you really are that annoyed, pull out the challenge flag every once in a while. Call a timeout. I mean, I get that you're trying to be responsible, but even the best managers in another sport, like baseball, will get in the referee's face. They will get there and jaw them. I mean, how many times did we see, as much as I hate to say it, Mike Tomlin doing that? I mean, look, does it make you look like a grade A D-bag? Sure. But you know what? You have to show that you're willing to do that, and that'll earn you that respect. Hugh has not really called anybody out, and when he has, it's because he's had to. I mean, the Callaway situation, I have a feeling that he was probably thinking, I hope I can sweep this under the rug, until Dorsey got a hold of it and said, Hugh, you got to say something.
Well, that is a mouthful right there, and I see some points that you definitely made there. I'm not calling, and look, no, by no means am I calling for a Hugh firing right now.
No,
I don't want
not at all.
any other attention at all on this organization except for with wins. I don't want, here we go again, Browns have fired their head coach. There's another one. I don't want to hear all that crap. I don't want to hear the questions. I don't want that kind of publicity anymore. I want the publicity of the fact that the Browns are winning. It looks okay. And then if you guys want to fire Hugh in the offseason, do whatever. But I do not want it in the middle of a season. We don't need any more distractions whatsoever. We've already had some really big ones at the beginning of the season with the Callaway situation, with Josh Gordon not being there, Mikael Kendricks. I mean, it seems like a lot of that stuff seems like it was like forever ago now. So let's just concentrate on the season. Let's just concentrate on wins, and let's do it there. So, Eric, we have wrapped up another successful episode of BrownsTown. Man, what an awesome show. And, of course, I love the Dawgie Bag. So, fans out there, keep sending your questions to us. You can reach us either at our Twitter handle, at BrownsTown USA, tweet at us, or DM us, and we will definitely get your question on the show. Eric should be doing an article pretty soon where he normally does do questions like that, so you can reply to him through that as well. Our Twitter handles, his at Stoshball, mine's at LA_Broadus.
Oh, score!
We'll get the questions out there for you guys, so we will definitely do it. But, Eric, any closing remarks, sir?
Score! I just looked in the Dawgie Bag. There's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on here that, with the crust cut, they toasted the bread with one of those Ravens toasters. I don't want it anymore.
This guy. Well, look, guys, everywhere out there, all Browns fans, enjoy this week. New Orleans Saints, we are coming to you, hopefully with a victory. You heard our scores. This is BrownsTown, powered by the three-point conversion.
Hang on!
Let's go, Browns!
Hang on, Sloopy!